Heading into the 2020-21 UNC basketball season, we are breaking down the 10 storylines we're looking at, and now we're going to talk about wing rotation, kind of a under-looked at area for the Tar Heels. We kind of know starting at point guard, the 2 and the 3, there's some more questions there. We think Leaky Black is going to be the starter at the 3, but you have Leaky Black, Andrew Platek, RJ Davis, Kerwin Walton, Anthony Harris, and Puff Johnson, all kind of in there. We don't know a lot about a lot of those guys. What do you think kind of happens there? We'll start with Greg.
Well, I think Leaky, because he is the veteran, has kind of got a leg up there. We think that he's finally healthy. I mean, he's a kid that's battled injuries his first 2 years. I think Roy Williams really likes his style of play in terms of thinking he can be a guy that we saw it with Theo Pinson, kind of being a facilitator from the wing. I think Leaky has that capability. I think he played a lot better and certainly steadier late in the year once Cole Anthony came back last year, even though he wasn't fully healthy. I think you can expect that. Now, is he going to be a guy that gives you a ton of scoring? No. And I think that's where some of these other guys really come in. We've heard some good things about Kerwin Walton and Puff Johnson being able to shoot the ball. I think that's critical. We've talked about Andrew Platek being a good leader. I think that's key. So you've got a lot of different pieces here that you can mix and match depending on what North Carolina needs at any given time. And that's a luxury for Roy Williams.
Sherrell, your take on kind of how this all breaks down.
Yeah, Leaky definitely is the leader in the clubhouse. He's a versatile player. I think Roy Williams likes a lot of the things he can do. I mean, last year, he had the most assists in a single game for UNC. Cole Anthony had 8. That was his high for the season. And Leaky had 9. So that shows you he can do those things. He had the most steals in a single game last season. I believe it was 4. So he has the versatility. Everybody on the team can't be a 20 points per game scorer. You kind of need someone, for lack of a better phrase, to get in there and to do the dirty work. And I think Leaky can do that defensively. I think he has a ton of potential there. I mean, just think about a guy 6'8", as long as he is, kind of hounding, these 6'4", 6'5" wings that most schools start. I mean, that's a real huge advantage for UNC. And then, frankly, in a pinch, he can play some point guard. I think, Greg, I can't remember the exact year. I think it was 2008 when Ty Lawson went down. I think Bobby Frazier might have been hurt, and Marcus Ginyard. They're at Virginia. It's an ugly, just nasty game. They win in the 50s, but Marcus Ginyard comes in and just does just enough to keep UNC, on the right side and get them to a victory. I think that's the kind of thing that Leaky Black can provide, kind of emergency depth at point guard, and then, versatility and defensive prowess on the wing.
Look, this is his breakout year. He's healthy. He's, working the ankle. He's got his leg strength. I mean, everything is lining up for Leaky to have this great year. We can be that Swiss Army knife type player. He can score a little bit. He can pass. He can rebound. He can defend. So that's the focus here. At that 2 spot too. I mean, in terms of minutes and who gets it? We've talked about RJ Davis already. If Harris is healthy, so there's a lot of moving pieces here. Greg, I mean, what do you think happens for that 2 spot for UNC, knowing what we know now?
Well, again, the fact that Andrew Platek is going to be a senior and he's a veteran leader for this team, that's worth something. And Roy has always placed an emphasis on that. Now, he's going to have to earn that playing time, but because he understands exactly what Roy wants, that's going to be beneficial for him. And I think you're going to see him a lot early. And then as some of these other guys come along, Kerwin Walton, I think he's a fascinating player just because a lot of people have kind of talked him up as being a kind of a better shooter than maybe they would have expected out of a freshman. And so I think you have some options there. Clearly, sounds like Davis and Love are going to be your backcourt at least to start. Anthony Harris, once he kind of gets back and ready to go, he's a key component there. But because this is a shortened preseason or early season because of COVID, I think a lot of these guys are going to get a lot of minutes early just because Roy has to figure out who he can rely on before the ACC season starts. And I think that does play into Leaky Black's hands as well as Playtek's a little bit.
Sherrell, you cover the recruitment of Kerwin Walton and Puff Johnson and RJ Davis for that matter. What can they bring in year 1?
Yeah, shooting. I mean, especially Kerwin Walton. I think that's the one area where you really think he's ahead of everyone else because that's kind of his signature thing. That's why he's at North Carolina, is because he showed the ability to shoot. Puff Johnson, I think, the early reports on him are actually more positive than I think people might expect. And he's not just a shooter. We talked to his father a long time ago, Gilbert Johnson, also father of Cam Johnson, obviously. And, he talked about how Puff was just more inclined to kind of get down in the paint and do some of the dirty work, and didn't mind playing against guys who were taller than him, a little more physical than Cam. So I think he's got that going for him. And as you know, at Carolina, when it comes to wings, you have to be able to rebound and you have to be able to make shots. And Puff, because of his length and because of his size, he's going to be able to do that. I mean, he's 6'8" and he's got really, really long arms, and that's going to help him a lot. And then there's the system knowledge that he has. I mean, the kid basically has lived Carolina basketball the last 3 or 4 years with his brother being there. And, there are examples where we talked to Gil where he said that, they would be breaking down film, and, Puff would be diagnosing things before Cam did in UNC system. So I think that's invaluable as well for him, and kind of gives him a leg up.
One of the more intriguing positions to look at is the wing rotation, the 2 and 3 in UNC's offense. Some freshmen, some veterans, and certainly Leaky Black is what UNC will be looking at heading into this season.